What's up, everybody? Gonna have a quick conversation. A lot of people that you watch on YouTube use teleprompters, right? I use teleprompters sometimes. I actually have one right here. And I tell you guys that I use, I get different products from companies all the time to review. This is one of them. It's teleprompter, right? I actually have three of them. Got three teleprompters, different kinds, different sizes for different uses. There's nothing wrong with people using teleprompters. A lot of your favorite YouTubers use them. Sometimes you can tell. Sometimes you can tell when I'm reading. Sometimes people are so good with it, you can't even tell when they're reading. No, again, there's nothing wrong with that. The point of using teleprompters is to get your script, not the script, but to get your words exactly on point. So you're not like and duh and you're thinking. You need everything precise to the point and exactly the way you want to get your stuff across, right? But did you know that most of your news outlets are reading teleprompters the majority of the time? Now, I know a lot of you people know that, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's most people on TV are reading scripts. You know that when the presidents do their speeches, most of the time they're reading. Everybody pretty much knows that. But let me ask you this question. Do you know, or have you realized, that when you watch your news stations and they're interviewing somebody and they're having a back and forth conversation, do you know a lot of times that both people are reading scripts? I've known that for a long time, and I can see it. I can spot it. I can tell because I've been doing this for a few years. I can tell when somebody's reading a script, but I can tell when I can tell by the way they speak, the cadence. I can tell by their eyes. Sometimes I can tell by the body movements because it's a certain things people do. There's certain rhythms, there's certain timing mechanisms. There's certain way people hold their head. There's certain way their eyes focus and their eyes. I know all the patterns. But it's interesting when you start realizing that when they bring on a guest and they're asking questions, that everything is scripted. That makes you stop and wonder. That makes you, pause and like, wait, what's really going on? Because it's one thing if the news commentator or the anchor, they're reading their scripts, they got to get to the point. There's time limits. They got to be precise, all of that. But how do you bring on a guest that's supposed to be answering questions and speaking independently, and that person is reading a script? There's something wrong with that. Now, like I said, I've known this for a long time. A lot of times I see it and I'm always pointing it out, and I'm always, having conversations with friends and family, you know. But I wanted to speak to you guys about that. Do you know that? And two, can you tell when it's happening? And again, if you haven't noticed, if you don't know, start paying attention when you're watching news programs. You'll see it. You'll start to notice now that I'm bringing it up. You'll notice that. Anyway, I'm sure most people a few years back, we saw the videos that came out when, all of these news programs followed it. Literally, if you don't know, you can look this up on YouTube. Most of these news programs follow the same exact script. But you just don't know, because if you're in one state or one city, you're only watching your news program. You don't see the other news programs. So you don't realize that most of the time they're literally saying the same written out script word for word. That's troubling. What is the point to all of this that I'm saying is it shows you how much the media is scripted and is controlled. And if all these different news outlets from different places are saying literally the same things, that means where is it coming from? Some person or company or whatever. There's one source that's controlling the narrative that comes out into the world. and we see it, and we're not aware of it. That's the problem. That's also why they're working so hard to silence all the independent news media outlets online. Um, that's why you don't have a lot of different independent media outlets on actual cable stations and TV stations. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why on YouTube now everything is being silenced. People are using it, losing their channels for saying certain things. Now you can't use certain. Everybody who wants to talk about this whole thing that's going on, everybody has to speak in code words. You can't say, the shot, the vaccine. I shouldn't be saying it, but I really don't care. But people, if you know and if you're paying attention, people are afraid to say these common words about the things that's going on every day because they're getting banned. They're getting there. My channel has been silenced and shadow banned for years. I've spoken about this. It is what it is. I don't really care anymore. But anyway, but back to the point. You have to start really thinking, why are they trying to so hard to ban all of these independent? Because now you got the internet, you got everybody has a YouTube channel, a website, and all that. They're working so hard to ban information that doesn't come from news outlets. Now, whether you're on whether you like CNN, whether you like Fox, whether you like CSNBC or whatever, all these different things, they're all recycling the same information. They're also playing the same game over and over. They're arguing with each other back and forth. It's one side against this side. So it's basically, with these news networks, with the Republicans and Democrats, everything is it's all gang warfare, and it's all manipulation. Why do I say it's all gang warfare? Because it's equivalent to the Crips and the Bloods. They even use red and blue. Think about that. All you ever get is a debate. One side is against the other side. It's a constant back and forth. They even do it now so much with these sports shows on ESPN. I stopped watching the news a long time ago. I can't even watch these sports debate shows because they don't even talk about sports. Everything is turned into a back and forth, an argument, and it sidetracks you. And they don't really talk about real things most of the time. Everything is a controlled narrative. Perfect example of how narratives get created. I want you to think about this. If you're into sports, you watch ESPN, Fox, all that stuff. For the past decade, all they've been doing is comparing LeBron to Jordan. It's on every episode, every show, everything. This. Jordan, LeBron. Jordan hasn't played in 20 years. Regular sports fans, before the media started that, was not having these conversations. Now that's all everybody talks about. Every single thing LeBron does is compared to Jordan. Now sports fans, that's all they talk about. Everything is comparing this one player to someone who hasn't played in 20 years. We never used to do that. That came specifically from the media. Now, another thing with hip-hop, everybody talks about, who's your top five, who's your top five. It's a stupid-ass conversation. But that also came from media. This is not something that fans was talking about. And now this is the main thing that everybody talks about in every interview, every this, who's your top five. The fans are doing it, the artists. It's stupid. It's stupid, and it's a waste of time. But people take now, since you have the media pressing these things so hard, this is what people talk about all day. This is what they care about when the shit is meaningless and is senseless. So just think about that. That's just two examples of how these narratives get created, and then the public goes with it. And now that becomes behavior. That becomes regular, normal, everyday conversation when it never was, and it realistically shouldn't be something that's that important. We should not be wasting our time and our energy on those dumbass conversations. Now ask yourself, where did this come from? You probably never thought about it, but where did that come from? And why are we doing this? Why are we now spending so much of our effort and energy having these particular conversations when there's so much other things to talk about within those fields? Think about that. They're steering the conversation and the public conscious, the public thought process where they want it to go. And you see what's happening. If you think otherwise, if you talk about anything off what they want to be spoken about, you get outcasted, you get silenced, you get ridiculed. That's not the way free mind works. That's not the way we're supposed to be operating in a free society. Everything is controlled. Now it's to the point where they're silencing everybody that even has independent, sources. So everybody on YouTube, whatever. But then they also try to discredit. So if you're on YouTube, there's all these people. Oh well, you're YouTube. What do you know? And this and that. You're not a real news source. You're not a newspaper or this and that. You can't trust the media. Why is the media everything just about arguing and going back and forth and it's all a distraction. We all know as adults when you're trying to get to the bottom of something, and I've been going through things with in personal life where I do the same thing. There's conflict. You need a mediator sometimes to come in and cut out all the arguing, all the distraction, all the name calling, and get down to the facts. Break everything down the middle, and get to the points. But the media isn't really doing that. I just want you guys to be aware. I want you guys to be aware. I want you guys to start questioning. Stop just thinking because it's in a newspaper or, on one of these cable networks that it's fact and it's true. They get caught lying all the time. They get caught spreading misinformation all the time. They get caught not speaking on real issues all the time. There's a constantly a controlled narrative, and they only speak on a small amount of things. You have to ask yourself why. Why do they not want us to be more informed? Why do they not want us to have free thought, free conversation? Why can't you differ from anybody? Why? Think about even the people that these news networks bring on, these so-called experts. Do you realize that these people have contracts with these companies, these cable networks? So they only bring on certain people because they're paid employees. Think about that. If you're going to bring in somebody on certain issues, they always want to bring in a so-called expert, but they always bring on the same people, and they never bring on people that's going to really have any radical ideas that other than what fits their format and what the message that they want to get across. Think about that. And when somebody does try to veer off topic, you see they get cut off, they don't get brought back on the show, and you see if you're paying attention, you know what it is. But back to the original thing before I sign off. I want you guys to start really paying attention to everything that I'm saying. Start watching if you're watching these news networks, especially if they're bringing on a guest and they're asking them questions, they're asking them their opinions. You can tell when you start paying attention, they're reading a script. If me and you are having a conversation and I come on your show, for instance, you might be reading from a script because you have time restraints. You want to get to the point. You don't want to be stuttering. You don't want to forget anything important. But me as a guest, if you're asking me questions, I'm on your show, why would I be reading from a script? That means I don't have real answers. That means someone this is all premeditated, all put together and packaged. It's not real. Just start thinking. All I'm saying, just think about it. Pay attention. Be aware. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. I'm going to leave it there before I start saying too much. Salute.